Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. Gosh, we've got another fantastic show for y'all. As we always do, we often have a fantastic show, and today is no different. We are going to be getting into the Draco Reptilians today, an alien threat, and also the threat of humanity's psychic awakening as well today. This is going to be a really cool show. I have some good information for you guys, and we've got some information from one of the more famous remote viewers in regards to his research on psychic humans versus the aliens, and it is pretty groundbreaking information. So I want you guys to please stay tuned. We've got a great show. I have Barry Littleton here with us today, and we're going to get this party started, y'all. Also, thank you so much for, what is today? Wednesday. Today's the glitch in the matrix. So we had a wonderful show on Monday. We had Jane and Carol here of Midwest Night Watchers. I see y'all in the chat. What's up, y'all? And we talked about the family out of Australia who was actually accosted by a UFO, and their car was lifted up into the air, seemingly by a magnet. That's what they said. But we made a whole bunch of connections on that show, connected a lot of dots and stuff. So y'all go check that out if you missed it. It was great. And we also analyzed those growls from Saturday Night Show as well. So yeah, definitely go back and watch that Saturday Night Show if you missed it too. Okay, y'all. Well, if you guys would like to check out the Cryptid Huntress, please go over to my to my website. You can go to my YouTube channel too. But go to the cryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows there and my calendar of events and all that kind of stuff. My social media links, all the podcasts that I'm on, they're all over there. The podcasting platforms, there's a whole list. You can just click on them if you're looking for me on podcast platforms. And also, I do have a Patreon. Thank you guys so much for your support. And I have an Etsy shop called War Woman Goods. And it's all on sale. I believe it's still on sale today, if you guys want to go check that out. All right. Well, let's get to our show today, shall we? On this episode of A Glitch in the Matrix, Barry Littleton and I are going to be exploring the Draco Reptilian presence on Earth and their connections to 3i Atlas, which, by the way, I've heard was destroyed. Okay. and CERN, we're going to talk about that today. CERN and a reported hidden war between off-world forces. Okay, we're going to get into all that. We're also going to get into the work of renowned remote viewer Lyn Buchanan, and we're going to talk about these psychic abilities in humans versus the ETs and their agenda and threats to humanity. And he suggests, I mean, from what I take from what he's saying, by the way, and we're going to pull up his TikTok. I want you guys to follow him. If you're into remote viewing, you should definitely be following Lyn Buchanan. And but what I took from some of the things that he said was that highly psychic humans and remote viewers may be the greatest threat against the negative reptilian forces. And they don't like humans, y'all. Okay. And they certainly don't want psychic humans. And man, I tell you what, I have definitely been, if you want to call it attacked more, I mean, maybe attack's not the right word, maybe criticized more from, and some people take criticism as an attack. I don't. Okay. But I have been criticized more from being a psychic publicly, talking about my psychic skills, my abilities, and in my remote viewing than I have ever being a Bigfooter and all that stuff. So go figure, y'all. People would much rather hear about Bigfoot than psychic stuff, I guess. But let me tell you, we need an army of switched on psychic humans, and I'm here to lead the way for all of y'all. Okay, so of course I have my psychic friend, Mr. Barry Littleton, here in the studio with me today. I'm super excited to have Barry back, and we're going to get into some of the, actually I think we're going to talk about some of the regressions he's done recently, and whatever else comes up. You guys can find him on his YouTube channel and his Patreon. It is called Barry Littleton. Super easy to find that, y'all. Please help me welcome to the show my good buddy, Mr. Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Salutations. What's up, Jessica? Sorry I'm a little bit late. Thanks for having me on. I haven't had much time to do social media stuff lately, so I appreciate you having me. Hello to the audience, too.
Well, I know you've been busy, Barry. You've had your hands full, and so that's why it's even more sweet to have you here today. And
thank you.
absolutely, yeah. I know I've been missing you. I actually had a show. I know you're in the chat on Monday, but we had Gerald and Jane here, and we were talking about Australia. And I know you had your life saved in Australia a long time ago, right?
I sure did. It's an interesting place and feels highly active too. You know, it's so much. I was mostly in Melbourne, but it's an interesting place. You know, especially considering that we watched, you know, for our generation, it came up with that Crocodile Dundee BS. And so you think that it's going to be more just the pure outback. But when you're in a city like Melbourne, you know, it's much more tropical, I think, than opposed to desert-like, in my opinion. You know, you see parrots, groups of parrots flying around like you do crows here. Parrots and magpies. Magpies are all over the place there.
That would be so cool. I would love to go to Australia sometime, but apparently they have just as much UFO and alien activity out there than as we do here in the U.S. And
I believe it.
Yeah, we covered the Knowles family, and that was a family that was driving down the road at 3 or 4 in the morning. And I wanted your opinion on this, okay? But they were driving down the road. A UFO, they started chasing a UFO, and the UFO started chasing them.
Mm-hmm.
And it went from chasing a station wagon to chasing their car. So it switched its focus. And it started chasing them, and they got their car lifted into the air. The driver lost consciousness. The rest of the family thought they were going to die. And I don't know what is it about that? Is it normal for ETs to like put a magnet onto the car like that and lift it into the air? Have you heard that before?
Well, I know that they can actually. Well, I can't speak for all the civilizations, but the ones I've dealt with, I know they can technically dematerialize a craft or a car and then materialize it inside, or manifest around the car. Mm-hmm. And you know, odd as it is, you see something that's like, you know, seems like 100 feet diameter in the sky. But then when you're inside of this thing, you've got like certain rooms are like 100 feet wide or 50 feet or more wide. You know what I mean? It's real interesting. Rooms that, like, for example, the first room that I went into on my first encounter with missing time in adult years, the first room I went into that sucked into that craft, it was big enough to have several cars in there. I kind of called it a cargo bay or something. And also, I think it's a place where you have different civilizations will come together in there in the belly of this craft and actually construct another craft. It's a reproduction process that is in a way that we don't understand. So anyway.
Well, that is weird. It's mind-bending, right? I guess mind-bending would be the right word, I think, the right phrase. Yeah, weird stuff that's kind of beyond our comprehension. And I'm kind of going to link that to like the whole psychic aspect of stuff we're going to talk about a little bit today. Of course, I want to get into the Draco Reptilians. I think the discussion is important, and I usually cover stuff that I don't think is important. As wild and wacky as things get, I still think that there's some importance to all this, especially with this UFO disclosure that's coming out and the alien disclosure. We need to focus on reptilians, and I wanted to make a note to the audience. On TikTok, our trusted news source, wink, wink. They have. I want to say censored, maybe the right word. Any kind of post that I have about reptilians, they haven't taken it down, but they have made it to where it will not be distributed to the public for whatever reason. Like, why would that be, Barry? That's so weird. Unless they're run by reptilian overlords. That's what I think.
When we get into this, I think what's worth talking about is something you and I have talked about before. And what I was going to show is actually, there's just something I don't want to skip around too much. I've been out of commission too long. There's one of those UFO files that caught my attention. It's a picture people are passing around. It looks like a star. This thing looks like a crystalline star. Now, look, anybody that's been following our work, I've showed you something like that since I first came forward in 2014. You know, and people ask, why do you hold this? It's because this looks similar. You know, and there's something that if you were to go to the worst movie I ever saw, probably in the theater, that I'll never get my money back from, is Superman Returns with Brandon Roth. That movie was horrible. But at the very beginning of it, well, it's one of those deals where the actors are trying to play the other actors that played the role instead of the characters. Anyway, the beginning of it, they have a scene that's called, it's deleted scene, Jessica, called Return to Krypton, where he goes back and goes and sees the destroyed Krypton. But the way they illustrate his ship looks quite similar to this. And when I first saw this tri-pyramidal Merkabah, which is what this book calls it, Keys of Enoch, all right, I was obsessed of trying to find something that looked similar. And it led me to the original Superman movie and what his ship looked like when it was coming to Earth before it got crushed in Earth's magnetic field. Okay, It looks quite similar to this. But this here is, when you look at that ship they're showing there, it's one of these configurations, if that's a ship, but I think it probably is. So it's just things that you and I have been talking about a long time that come to light now, and I think it's important. It's interesting how many cool people like in your audience, and your audience is growing, and getting people starting to send me emails saying, hey, this and that helped me. As people I don't know, they're not normally in your chat or anything. So it's really cool that, you know, that it's helping people that maybe aren't so visible. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Not everybody likes to hop in the chat. I know we're some talkers in here, so I know, you know. I've actually been told it can be intimidating coming into our chat room because there's so many people in here and with so many wonderful ideas and a lot of good information, and it gets to be intimidating for some people. So, I don't know. So our chat is a cut above, y'all. I can't apologize.
A lot of sharp people in there. A lot of sharp people in there. Hell, I get burned sometimes. It just happens. You know what I mean? You always got somebody smarter. That's just how it is.
Oh, man, absolutely. Absolutely. I really enjoyed talking to a lot of the people that are in the chat. Even today, I've been able to talk to outside of the shows and stuff, and just excellent people. So thank y'all so much for being here and for all y'all's support. It means the world to us. Let's see. Yuzal says, if you talk about reptiles on YouTube, you get a wiki thing. Yes, I will put money on this today. I'm not a betting woman, but I will guarantee there's going to be a wiki thing. I'm going to say reptilian about 25,000 times a day. Okay, we're going to see. Okay, but anyways, yeah, TikTok has changed for sure. Go ahead, Barry.
No, go ahead.
Yes.
You know, I was going to show that graph that I've showed before, and it's the graph about reptilian. I couldn't find it quick enough. You busted me.
We got time.
Okay, here I'll pull it up where you're talking real quick. It won't take me a second. We've talked about it and I've shown it before, but it's just to give a base because we did that other show on reptilians. I think that's the one that got you in trouble, isn't it?
I always get in trouble for everything. What are you talking about? Yeah, I get in trouble every show for something, somewhere on some platform, or with somebody in the audience. I don't know. I always get in trouble. While you're pulling that up, I want to talk a little bit about the reason that I want to talk about this today, right? Like, I actually came across speaking of TikTok and stuff, I came across an interview with a guy named Sebastian Martin, I think. He has an accent. He might be French. I don't know. He's from another. He's got an accent, so I don't know where he's from. But he was. I think he was on Gaia, if I'm not mistaken. And he was talking about this off-world war, and between the reptilians and the Palladians, basically, and it's like come to Earth. And I know if I didn't know better, I'd be like, this guy's kind of crazy. But see, like we do know better, and we do know that this stuff is real. And he was talking about how the Draco Reptilians kind of, I've got a history behind the Draco Reptilians. We can talk about that in just a minute. And I know you've got a chart that we're about to pull up, Barry. But talking about how no matter what, even the Draco Reptilians basically want to take over. They take over all the planets. They're a warring race of humanoids. Basically, they like to eat. They like to taste of humans. I think. And we're talking about the negative ones, y'all. We're going to say negative because there's also some good ones. Okay. But basically they're trying to like take over Earth, That's the story behind it. And they've been fighting the Palladians, basically, according to what this man was saying. But the Galactic Federation.
Now Jessica, is this Lyn Buchanan?
No,
about?
no, that's later. We're going to talk about him in a minute. This is Sebastian Martin. And he was saying that no matter what, the Galactic Federation, they've seen into the future, they know the past, the future, and all that. Humanity wins. They're not going to take us over, but they're trying right now. Okay. And but he said that the Galactic Federation will step in and protect the humans, he said. Okay, but like I said, we need to get into a little bit of the history behind the Dracos and people's experiences with them.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Since the work that you and I have done specifically, what do you now think about that comment about the? Let me clear my throat. the Galactic Federation will step in and intervene. What do you think about that based on the work that you and I have done together now, where that has come up?
I think it's accurate. I think that's an accurate statement. It resonates with me, and from the work that we've done, it comes up on blind coordinate remote viewing targets, and it seems that is the case. We're okay, but we gotta fight, and I'm gonna teach y'all how to fight too. Okay, I've got the solution here. I've got the remedy. For whatever kind of negativity is being thrown at us, and y'all know negativity is constantly being thrown at us within the higher ups through our media and all that. I know exactly what to do. Okay, so but first we're gonna get into that toward the end. Barry, what is this chart right here? Is this when people experience a reptilian encounter?
Yeah, this is from the excuse me, the free well, it used to be called free CCRI with Ray Hernandez and them. It's the question, the survey that they sent out worldwide, and I was one of the people that skipped because I had not encountered a reptilian onboard craft. All right, but just what caught my attention on this is just how much the chart is skewed to. You would think it would be like all negative. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's another chart too. I was going to pull that one up, but it's quite similar. It's just a similar reptilian question they gave out.
Okay,
but it's skewed even more towards positive and neutral.
Yeah.
And I just found that interesting because it's just through what we hear in the media, you wouldn't expect to hear that. So the only reason I'm bringing this up, Jessica, it triggered me, encouraged me, inspired, I guess, me to put out like a video I had done. It's called Reptilian Questions, probably about 8-9 years ago by now. But I wanted to know how many people, one, that had not just encountered these reptilians, but I was more interested in the ones that encountered them on board craft or physically, just in a physical manner, not the other. But you know what I got was inundated with people that said, "Oh, I've seen them astrally. I've done this and that. I got attacked by them, this and there." And it's always something that is not in the physical. Only very few said they saw one on board craft or saw one physically. And when coming to this chart, you know, you've got the 34%, which is, I'm not sure, explained. I asked Ray, I said, well, you know, what's going on with that? He said, you know, everybody's got to fill out something. Why? And what we got overall, the data was showing, people were saying that they encountered these beings and the beings didn't hurt them or do anything to them, really. But just eyewitnessing them physically was so unnerving that it just almost disrupted the whole thing, no matter what they were trying to do, whether it be positive or negative. So that's just noteworthy. So I put that questionnaire out in that video, and I got inundated with people that said they'd seen them astrally and dream-wise, far more above the physical. And I don't take away from either type of contact, but being a contactee myself, they're just different. Okay, the stuff I've experienced astrally, out of the body type of stuff, dream-like, is not like what happened when I'm physically touching stuff and holding my stomach, trying not to puke. Whole other thing going on, okay?
Okay.
But when dealing with this, I'm just bringing this up because you're coming from the area right now of the negative ET thing. And I think that maybe these cats get even more of a rap because it's sensationalism and also, you know, it's sensationalism, a lot of this, not all of it, but you know, there are a couple figurines that pop up, so it's always got to be them, you know, and you've got someone like Credo Mutua that puts emphasis on them. So I'm not taking that away at all, but we've got these other hostile extraterrestrials that come here that don't even have bodies. And we
That's
got to
right.
be very aware of that. Okay, so I'm not taking away. I don't want everybody going off. Oh, I heard Barry Littleton. He's pro-reptilian. No, it's not that. All right, it's not that. I'm never pro no con, but I'm just saying I don't think we have the whole gamut. We know when I first heard this back in the 90s, I started hearing about the reptilians, and some of this was coming from Kemet, the black bookstore I used to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And the brothers was talking about how there was a race of saurians here already that are connected to like the Hadrosaurus and also there's another one of them that goes way back. Anyway, they're connected to certain reptilians that would have evolved here on Earth. And they called these species the saurians. And then when we had one of the major cataclysms, they went underground. And then at a time where the Earth's regenerating, you have these Dracos that come from they mentioned other like Cygnus and other star systems these reptilians were coming from and started breeding with the saurians here from Earth. And that's when you get these different things that are so involved in Earth. That's just what it comes from the black knowledge I was granted back then. Okay. So I've always kind of used that to go forward. But before I shut my mouth, this thing about the negative ETs, some of them, I don't know what their energy feels like totally, if it's a reptilian feeling or not, but some of them are just dark. They're negative. And like I said, when I say they don't have bodies, I don't know what container for consciousness they have. It might be plasma, so they could be some of the orbs that we see floating around, but they're thought forms. They're mainly thought forms. And they start manifesting as thought forms in our minds and pushing that, then building more energy, and they start using our own pineal gland to manifest out here and start causing crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm bringing this up because we'll just go into this real quick because I had the regression you just mentioned. I had done some regressions that were noteworthy. And one of them was, and these earthbound spirit release rescues I do. Anyone that works with me knows I have a very specific technique I use that very much will reveal earthbound spirits, but sometimes other comes with that. And I'm just trying to deal with level by level. Okay, earthbounds, but you get these that come in that are negative inorganic beings, or we could call them demon. I'm fine with that. You know, and you've got these ETs that will come in sometimes too, or other types of interdimensional, multidimensional beings. But this one in particularly, I have a method, another technique that will reveal if it's demonic or not. Just like that. There's the divine field is real, Jessica.
It
and
is.
there's certain things that they can't do. These dark entities, there's certain things they can't do. They'll trick you. They have they're masters of perception, but there's just certain little things they can't do. And I'll put that out there first, and it will reveal to me almost immediately if it's a negative inorganic being or not. All right. And the first thing I put out, this being passed it. And okay, and then it started saying that it was it started projecting itself as a human that was so full of hate and anger that when they died, they kind of turned into something else and almost lost energy in that way, negative wise, and started, they're showing the client so many things that are visual, thick, heavy visual telekinetic sighting that they're seeing. And one point when I'm starting to figure out this thing is what it's lying, but it's showing the client that how it looked in human form, then it's like blowing away and burning in wind, okay, like into a skeleton, into calcium deposits because of the hate and the anger. But then during the course of beginning to even begin the crossing technique I'll use, this thing starts revealing itself. And it begins by showing me in an inferno with like 100 arrows going into me. Say, this person hates you, Barry. I don't care. Get your ass out of there. It's not going to faze me at all. You know what I mean? This is a matter. But anyway, so this turns out to be an ET of some type. And it was influencing this person and causing them a ton of problems because it's latched onto a place of trauma in the person's body. And it's generating negative stuff from there. Negative visions. It was quite telekinetic in terms of at least visual wise. You know what I mean? But it was definitely an ET. And I kept feeling like, man, what was that thing? It wasn't a normal quote unquote demon, but to quote unquote doesn't really matter when you got these negative beings doing what they do. Does it matter if they're ET? Does it matter if they're multidimensional? They come from space. Even they come from inner Earth, where we always perceive hell to be.
Oh,
you know.
They are coming from inner Earth. And this is a good question, Max. Life, love, and learning. What's up, Max? He says, Jess and Barry, what about the Draco Reptilians at Dulce base that are doing the experiments? Yes, well, I've also heard that, I don't know if it's our military or what, was sending, they've sent dogmen or werewolves and stuff to fight the reptilians, I've heard. Okay, so that's also interesting as well. I wanted to go back and address what you said about not all reptilians are in solid form. Okay. So I was listening to an interview by, I think it's James Bartley. I've met him at a disclosure conference, and we're friends on Facebook. But he said, so this is what he said. I took some notes. I wrote this down. He said there are 3 different types of reptilians. Some are subterrestrial, living in vast caverns below the ground. They're the ones that have been here all along, from the beginning. There are extraterrestrials that come from all over the universe, basically. And they're coming from Draco and Orion star systems, basically. And the third type are a combination of being they're a combo of both of those, but they're interdimensional. And he said they can alter their physical existence, slipping into a sleeping human and take over their astral dreamscape from within. And that's what I'm thinking. We've shown all these videos of these celebrities glitching out, and we're trying to figure out, like, how does that work? How is that what this is? Is it, are these the astral type of reptilians like you're talking about, Barry? Those are the ones that are inhabiting human bodies. And is that done through all these like secret society rituals and stuff? I have a lot of questions.
I want to say something in all due respect. That information put out there is the stuff that's always been out about them. Okay? It's the same stuff I heard in the 80s. The exact same stuff, just kind of packaged a little bit more, whereas, everything. But when we come down to this type of possession, the person that showed that the most, again, is going back to Credo Mudwa. And, for some reason, my pictures won't let me pull up. It's weird right now. I'm only getting names or words. Anyway, we'll deal with that later. But
okay.
There's a picture, you might have it too, that shows actually Credo, because David, oh God, don't let me say his name wrong. Ike. Wikipedia, whatever. I know it's Carl. Anyway, but he got it in his book, and that's a drawing from Credo. But it's got the reptilian behind the shadow behind a person, attaching them to the sexual organs. Okay, and it's overshadowing them, and that's the type of quote unquote possession that Credo was talking about. These other non-physical reptilians are doing. Or even maybe some of the physical can do that psychically, energetically. I don't know. But and I think that may be a lot of what people are catching with the camera, is that time of a reptilian overlay. But I tell you, there's others out there that are masters of trying to gobble our awareness, and they're not reptilians. They're something else. They're even maybe worse than those shadows we're familiar with. You know what I mean? It gets pretty nasty on that. I wouldn't want to see the inner aperture for some of these wormholes that come to Earth. Where do some of those places start at, man? That brings, because let's face it, a lot of those that get possessed and a lot of the demonic activity and all that happens around these portals, around houses that have portals and these active portals. So some of these portals, their entry level on the other side or whatever side is, I think, not good.
Whoa. Yeah, it's not good. I was trying to find that picture of I don't have it on my computer, but I was looking online. I couldn't find it. I was doing a search. So, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm just going to put my pictures. I'll bring it up though.
Yeah. There was actually, what was that? The Met Gala, or I don't know if it was the Met Gala or one of those places they just do rituals with all the rich, famous people get together and they wear these weird outfits that are all symbolic of some kind of satanic ritual or something. But some person, dare I say what gender, I have no idea. Okay, but some person was wearing a dress and it had like a body coming out of the back of it, almost like it was like an attachment but it was built into the dress that they were wearing, and it was like it was a representation of having an attachment, I think, because it literally like a person or a ghost coming out of their back. So that's kind of what we're talking about. If you guys are familiar with that person with the dress, okay, there you go. That's it.
And that's that figurine, one of those reptilian figurines. And he said that's what that's showing, and also their ability to bear human hybrids. That's Credo Moodles. I think that book. Oh boy, somebody's gonna throw me down. I was gonna say it. The David Icke. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, the David Icke book with the biggest secret. I think is the one that's in. And anyone can just look up Credo, and Credo's there's some speech, some things of him talking about these reptilians quite a bit, and the different classifications of them. And to me, it seems like he was the most detailed I'd heard up to that point. Before then, there was people like Martinique and Alyssa Royale and a few other people talking about him, but not the way Credo had kind of broke it down, you know?
Alex Connor, too. He talked about, he was kind of a whistleblower on the reptilians living in the underground and how that they were working in conjunction with the Greys and with some of the humans that were sending some of these missing people and missing children down there. This is all alleged. It's for entertainment purposes only. But they were actually feeding them, keeping them satisfied by sending them some of these missing kids and stuff so they could consume them. That's what Alex said.
You know, I'd heard about the consuming of humans by these creatures. Again, that's something Credo had talked about. Mm-hmm. And I'd heard it before that in a book called oh gosh. Oh, I want to say your mom. Oh gosh, I can't think of it now. But it's an intense book, and that's the first time I heard about them eating people. I want to say the Umanga, but gosh, that's the name of that book. Anyway, so it's a weird deal, man. You know, I think this goes not just for them, but for those other two. And there's something else I'd heard back then is that the reptilians themselves, are rather low vibrational in terms of other entities can possess them quite easier than they can do us.
Really?
So yeah,
so they can get possessed too.
And when you get with some of those entities that don't have bodies, that like I learned something early. Now look, Jessica, I don't like the dark stuff, just not my vibe. But when I started learning about these shadows I was seeing in my peripheral vision, more is the ones that are like the small spherical ones are more like your workers or your more kind of wild ones. It's those ones that are oval and bigger, and you've got ones much bigger than that and darker that are more the ones that you want to really avoid. You know what I mean? I had this guy that was he was a Carlos Castaneda expert. He turned me on to Carlos Castaneda when I was about probably 12 or 13. And I read all those books by the time I was like 16, And he did something, it's back when I was getting a little bit of my teenage years, brothers had some default going on there. But we met up and we were smoking, burning one. And we go in this room and the room's completely dark. He turns the light off. It's completely dark. Only thing I could see is the ash of this thing we're smoking. Okay. And it didn't take long before I started seeing movement in the room in pure darkness. Okay. Almost pure darkness. And then I see something that appears to be hurled across the dark air. And it landed. I heard a thump. And I was like, what the F is this? What are you doing? And he turns the light on. He said, man, I knew it. I knew you had enough energy to perceive them. And this is before I got to that point, is the Castaneda calls them the flyers. And they're heavy, and you can hear them a lot of times because they're very, very dense. But they're the shadows that are much bigger. They're elongated, and they hurl through the air. Now, if I were to take that and cross-reference that with somebody whose work I greatly respect, Jerry Marzinski, he noticed the voices. He talks about the voices. And I'm telling you, that man is on it because I noticed it in the kids I used to work with. I started documenting like the ones that would tell me they heard voices. especially when they said they heard them. That's why they stopped taking their meds. The voices told them to. It was normally the bipolar kids that would say that. Going back to Jerry Marzinski, he thinks that the quote unquote the flyers I just described, excuse me, are the ones that are projecting the voices to people. You know, they're invisible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, food for thought on all that. All right.
Oh my gosh, Bounty Hunting Bear! I saw your comment a while ago, and she was saying, bringing up that video of that man that's walking down the street, and he gets attacked, he gets jumped by somebody, and there's that street, you know, the CCTV camera, I guess. You can see as he's getting attacked, an entity comes up out of his back, just like this picture right here of this reptilian connected to that human, and but it came out of him and it attacked the mugger. Okay, the guy that was attacking that guy. So yeah, I guess.
Hey, Jessica, where you got that up, just using this as a cross reference, okay?
Okay.
You and I have talked about what is being termed, quote unquote, the gray overlay. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I talked about how those masseuses were talking about seeing gray aliens coming up from people's occipital lobe while they're doing massages.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just an attachment in a different area. And the whole thing I tried to do the other day that got disrupted on my live, thanks for being there, by the way, was actually how, you know, these beings will also attach to places of trapped emotion within the body. You know, so it doesn't always have to be our I think our chakras are easier because they're plasma based. You know, there's that thing by Leadbeater that he did all those paintings of those lead beads. He called them something, but they're chakras is what they are. Energy vortexes. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah, and then we got people. You've talked about this. How there's people that say we need to get rid of our chakras and stuff like.
Oh
so
yeah.
That's a whole other rabbit hole.
That's like saying, "Hey, I need to get rid of my heart and my stomach. Let's see how good when I just get rid of those, how good I fare down here."
Sounds like a bad idea to me. Yeah, it sounds like a bad idea.
If you look at this, the nature of plasma and plasma vortexes, you can't just will them away. That's crap, man. But what you can do is cause somebody a bunch of energetic problems. And I've already worked with some people that did that, some of these things, and they come to me saying, "Man, I feel like I got messed up." You know? So I mean, it's really starting. I'm not an energy worker in that way. I got to send them on to somebody else. You know, I could do some things, but that's not, I'm not, you need to go see somebody that deals with the prime meridians of the human body. That Chinese type medicine, that takes it to another level, I think. My personal opinion only.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Well, how about this? Let's talk a little bit. You know, I told the audience, you know, I've got the solution to the problems here. If there's a problem. All right. And that is, we're talking about if there is, and there has been an attack on humanity by the Draco Reptilians, as some say, and I believe this could be true. Okay, but it's, let me tell you what to do, y'all. Is to stay positive. Okay, and it's to change these timelines. And actually, that's what was that guy's name? Sebastian Martin. Actually, let me. You know what? It might be on my TikTok. Let me share my screen, and that way you guys can go check this out yourself. And I think this is a great interview. If anybody is on TikTok or watches Gaia, I believe it's from Gaia. Let's see if it's on here. Oh, never mind. I thought that I had that pulled up, but I guess not. Hold on. I got the remote viewing stuff on here. Hey, how about this? How about while I'm talking, we'll just watch some shapeshifters. These are some weird ones, y'all. Barry, I don't know. These are from from TV, probably back in the 90s, I'm thinking. Hold on, let me get it again. Robert Pattinson video. Yeah, Robert Pattinson. I don't know if that's the preacher on there. This is weird stuff. I mean, could this just be the digital age of cable TV, you know, messing up? I don't think so. Okay. That's some weird stuff. Okay. But yeah. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing because that's not what I was looking for. Right? That's not what I was looking for. But anyways, okay. So this guy, he's talking about the raising the consciousness of every human on this planet. And listen, this is very important for all of us to do. You know, we're bombarded with all this negative emotional stuff to cause all this loosh harvesting, right? As we like to say. And so that is keeping people at a very low frequency. But right now we're in this age of the planet's energy shifting, humanity's consciousness shifting into higher perspective and into higher levels. And I think that we are all a part of that, y'all. Everybody in here listening to this right now, we're all a part of this. And so it's important that we stay positive. And if there's any kind of anything negative going on in the world, like I quit watching the news. Okay. I don't watch the news anymore. I don't watch TV anymore. I watch videos on YouTube sometimes. Okay. But there's certain things that we can do to like not be in that lower vibrational frequency and to let this stuff affect us, and all the wars and good Lord, everybody's affected by the gas prices and all that stuff right now. I mean, it's just one thing after another. And that's done. I feel like that's done to us on purpose to keep us just spinning our wheels and contemplating not wanting to be here anymore and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's important that we start looking at everything, shift the perspective onto something higher. Focus on the beauty in this world. Okay. Focus on the good stuff. Have some laughs. Take a break from all the negativity. Okay. That's how we change this. We can change these timelines. This is something that Barry, you and I have talked about a lot. So I don't know. How do you feel about that, Barry? Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's changing what we talked about last time, morphogenetic field or morphogenic field of humanity, which is something of positivity. And that's what we really want to be emitting on board on planet Earth. Because if it's true, let's say per se, like what Dolores Cannon says, you know, that Earth is making its dimensional jump as a living being, as it's going into another dimension. So it's not going to care who comes along and who doesn't to a certain degree. And if you are humanity right now, which is kind of like like a skin cancer, a melanoma on Earth, might not make it. Might not make the jump. That's why the parent stars have been acting so erratic with these huge all this solar activity, which is when you and I know is when time edits occur the most, is during times of high solar activity.
Well, is that why that's why they're blocking out the sun, all those clouds and stuff? Maybe there's something to it.
Well, you know, if we were to take it a step forward, okay, and I'm going to go here. I'm just going to go there because I know you love this topic, my friend. Okay, when we start talking about something like Fermilab or CERN, or maybe what has existed in the past, when you go back to when this was a Type 1 civilization, okay, and when they really were experimenting with quote-unquote dark matter and those exotic particles. You know, I mean, at that point, that's when places like CERN that become even more dangerous. And we're not going to hear about that is when they're using strictly colliding of exotic particles. Strictly. They don't even, unless you're reading some of those science journals, and some of that stuff is hard, man. You can't even understand unless the Higgs boson what other exotic particles there is that they're finding within for just a brief millisecond in those collisions. That's really where it's at right there in that type of high energy. And when thinking, I was recently watching something, and it was something I agreed with. And this was actually Dolores Cannon. I don't do QHHT. I have a completely different system I use. I've never been trained in that. But I do respect her work, and I respect those who practice it, okay? Mm-hmm. But she was talking about Atlantis, how Atlantis was one of the temples on Earth. Not just Atlantis, but that was like an Atlantean temple of types. And she knew about the crystals. I know that there's solar magnetic crystals that are down there that are causing these shifts. Mm-hmm. Okay, she had described that, but even more how they were used to actually create like a mirror itself. And it's like a point where the mirror and the sun make that connection, that light connection, that like the sea and these crystal make there's a certain gravitational thing when the sea is at a certain movement and these crystals catch it and it actually amplifies what they're doing. portal-wise.
Oh.
And now they're malfunctioning because of the cataclysm. And that's why it's so unstable over there. I don't disagree with that. It's a little different than what I said, but it's very much kind of the same. So, it's systems like that and what we're dealing with, these real stargates that existed that were human-made, that were when we were a Type 1 civilization. And how many of those are they cranking up right now? Because I think that CERN is just a step behind. It's where we're going to go. But I mean, what we're talking about right here, I think they ain't quite got there yet. And the ones that have, we don't know about. We're not being told about. But they're in collusion with these other entities, probably against the Galactic Federation.
Against them? Maybe so. Maybe so. Well, okay. Thank you for that, Barry. That's wonderful information. And missing time was bringing it. I know we talked about particles colliding and stuff, right? Well, I wanted to bring up CERN because missing time says I think CERN just figured out how to transport antimatter by truck. Okay, so that's interesting. But all right, let's see. So CERN. It said some people are saying that CERN actually opened up a portal, and I don't know if this was from one of those same interviews with the guy that I was referring to earlier, Sebastian. But they're saying that. So I remember when we were talking about 3-Eye Atlas over and over and over again. We talked about 3-Eye Atlas so much because it was weird, right? Barry is Barry's favorite, y'all. He loves 3-Eye Atlas, but. But we were talking about 3-Eye Atlas. Well, they were saying that some people were saying that there were scientists at CERN that had actually opened up a portal to talk to the Draco Reptilians. Okay, and they showed up in holograms, and they communicated telepathically with the scientists in the rooms. The Reptilians said they were coming in peace. They just wanted to round up the starseeds. Do you remember that? And now, why would they want to round up the starseeds if this is true, other than the fact that starseeds are here raising the consciousness of everyone on the planet, right? That's what they say. So do you think they were here to help the starseeds, or do you think they were going to eliminate the starseeds, Barry?
What they're describing there is quantum tunneling, sending information backwards and forwards in time, specifically backwards often. Of course. I mean, hey, that sounds very sensationalism. It's great. I don't know what to say. I'm sure they're wrapping all the starseeds up. Pow, pow. What are they going to take us through one of the portals, or what is it they're going to do? And I don't know, man. I just have a problem with the sensationalism of all this going on because I've been through these different decades of it now. And everything now is just thrown on right now. It's the same stuff, but they just throw something in there. Say quantum this, quantum that. That makes it seem a little more advanced. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about it? Do you think that's what's happening? I mean, quantum tunneling, they've been doing that for a long time. And what worries me is that they're altering you and I's timeline by sending information backwards in time to someone like the H guy or somebody worse than that. Okay, and tell, hey, do this, don't do that. And I was seeing things that they were supposedly sending in Morse code through quantum tunneling back to people back then. That could very easily change timelines. That I don't know if they can change the one we're on now, but they can create other ones. You know what I mean? I don't know. It gets pretty weird. But when it comes to that part, exotic particles of CERN, that's where I stop teasing you. Because all the cyclotrons are capable of that. So,
well, that gets into like time traveling and stuff like that, and Project Pegasus with Andrew Basiago, and going back to Lincoln's Address, and Jimmy and James and all our buddies, talking about how they were part of those programs, and I don't know. But Max has an interesting comment. It says, Jessica and Barry, have you ever thought if CERN is a 2-mile round horizontal stargate? Right? Who came up with such a design? Why really? Draco's collecting starseeds too. Yes, Jess, I heard. That is interesting because it is a circle. So it's a gigantic 2-mile stargate, maybe. That would make sense.
It's a cyclotron.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around a very, very long time. They used to be called cyclotron atom smashers before they were called hadron colliders. You know what I mean? So I mean but right now I know they're doing a lot of things like what's the guy with the hair, the Don King of Ancient Aliens, Sukalakis, whatever. Yeah. Here he's not the most pleasurable guy in person. Anyway, the point being, sorry, that's off the record. Anyway, point being, he's talking a lot right now. He's bringing up the ancient hieroglyphs and things that seem to have a cyclotron on them, aka CERN. And you know this by heart. And what is it? CERN has, what is it? Kali on the front. What's their symbol?
Shiva. You're talking about Shiva?
Shiva, yeah. But it's got appears to be standing in the cyclotron, right?
Yes, Shiva the Destroyer. Yeah. Shiva the Destroyer. That's what that is. It's destroying worlds. Almost like what is that? Is it Marvel character? The guy with the glove? What's his name? And he's the destroyer of the world.
Thanos, right?
Thanos. Yes. Thanos, Shiva, whatever.
He beat the hell out of the Hulk, man. That was disrespectful. God, Lou Ferrigno never would have did that. Anyway, you know what? Something else, Jessica. Something I've often thought that CERN and Fermilab and all of them are just fronts for the real stuff going on. I mean, they're not. And I know nobody likes it when I say this, but the truth is, no one was even paying attention to CERN until John Titor came around, the real one. You know, and I mean that he's the one that said he showed more evidence of time technology. At least he showed a patent. He showed a device. You know what I mean? He said that CERN was the one that created all that, and it was they would get together with, oh gosh, I don't want to get tore up. I'm pretty sure it was Sears, and God, I've got it on there. I did a video on that. What he called his time device again. It wasn't a layer transmitted device. It was. Anyway, but it's I think he said they got together with General Electric, Sears, and like CERN. Is Sears still around, or they go out with JCPenney?
Yeah. I think Sears are still around. I don't know. I don't go to the mall anymore. These places are dangerous now. I don't know. It's just not fun to go there. They're either empty, abandoned, or they're just not worth going to. So,
yeah, there's a whole thing. This guy's doing this whole huge thing to revolve the malls of America.
Oh yeah.
I
don't mind. You know, we do have a mall. It's not the best mall like where I live. I mean, there's different malls I can go to, right? But it's actually, I mean, there's like shootings there and stuff. Like, it kind of sucks. Like, not a place you want to take your kid at night. You know what I mean? But they still got some good shops there. Yes. So, but yeah,
it's a shame because interaction's being lost. You just order stuff online now. Interaction's being lost, and I think it's making a lot of humans more callous and a lot less compassionate. You know.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Hey, Patrick. Patrick's a remote viewer. In case y'all didn't know, Patrick Noble. I know. I got my eyes on you, Patrick. Let's go to the next topic, Barry, real quick, because I want to talk about Lyn Buchanan. Okay, and this is a military trained remote viewer, and so this is the type of remote viewing that I have been trained in, all the different modes. I'm going to show you guys a video. I guess we're just listening to the video. I think it'll be okay.
I was going to ask you. So what's up, Jones? Do you know Lyn Buchanan? Have you met him? I
don't, but I know people that know him.
I don't know if my spider sense is going off. I don't know if I believe that. You know what? Seriously, but I liked his work. He was when Art Bell was the first one that kind of was putting remote viewing on Front Street, and the first two people was Ed Dames first, and Lyn Buchanan was the other one. He was on there several times. I've never heard his replayed though, like Ed Dames on YouTube or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Art Bell, Lyn Buchanan, yeah.
Okay, well let's go to he's got a TikTok page. I'm sure somebody probably runs it for him. I mean, he's kind of elderly now, okay, but he is a very well-known remote viewer, and he's had some very interesting data that he has talked about publicly in regard to. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let me pause this. Okay, so. He actually, so I've got a video. There was an interview with Linda Moulton Howe that he did, and he was discussing something. I think it was like the year 2050, and he was talking about how there was some sort of mass extinction event before 2050. And he said that he was in remote viewing. He was trying to find out if it was a plague, some kind of war that happened, or what, like if it was a war, you know, and he found out that it was not, that there was some sort of, dare I say, sickness or something that took out a large majority of the population of the entire world here on Earth. And it was almost like a mass extinction event had happened before 1950. And, you know, and here's where we're going to circle back around a little bit to keeping things positive and changing these timelines. Okay, changing the timelines where we have a prosperous future, you know, where we don't have these mass extinction events and stuff. You know, it's a matter of knowing it, focusing on the higher timelines, and then go in that direction for humanity. Okay, but I think it's cool that people like him and people like myself and my remote viewing team, we can remote view into the future and stuff, and maybe get that and then change these timelines. Well, let me tell you what Lyn Buchanan has done here. Now this is, I will play this. I think it'll be okay to play this on my YouTube channel briefly. But he is actually talking about, after his military career, he was asked to write a paper contrasting and comparing human psychic ability with extraterrestrial aliens' psychic abilities. And Barry, okay, so, you know, the head of my Bigfoot research team always said all roads lead back to ET. Well, he's also the person who taught us remote viewing as well. And a lot of us who were on that team had already previously had interaction with ETs, probably our whole lives. Okay, and so I'm looking back, I'm like, that man knew the whole time that we were going to be combating aliens one day, I think. He already remote viewed it. I just didn't know it. But anyways, I find it really interesting. You know, I don't know if he knew Lyn Buchanan or not. I don't know. But anyways, he always told us, the head of my team said, you know, some of us remote viewers have remote viewed a mass extinction level event that is potentially going to occur either in our lifetime or our children's lifetime, is what he said. And I think this is what he was referring to, was what Lynn said that he had remote viewed. So I'm going to play this. Barry has dropped off. He'll be back in just a minute, y'all, I hope. But let's go ahead. I would love for you guys to follow Lynn over here. Let's see what it says. TikTok. It's called Inside Remote Viewing. Okay, if you guys are into remote viewing, he gives all the tea on remote viewing, y'all. And anything you want to know about controlled remote viewing, coordinate remote viewing, all the different modes. There's a bunch of different modes: energetic, hypnotic. I don't know if he talks about all those on his Twitter, but let's hear this. Let's see. Let me unmute it, and let's talk. Let's hear this.
After the military, I was asked to do a paper contrasting and comparing human psychic ability.
Few cities.
Oh, shoot, y'all.
After the
Sorry.
military, I was asked to do a paper contrasting and comparing human psychic ability with their psychic ability. And we make a mistake. We think us and them. No, there's us and them and them and them and them and them and them and them. You know, there are many thems, and each one of them has a different agenda. What I had found was that you could take the ETs and divide them into 4 groups psychically. It's not types of ETs, psychically divide them into 4 groups. That is, those who are more psychic than we are, and those who are equal or less psychic than we are. That's 2 groups. Of those 2, you can divide them into friends and enemies. That's 4 groups. And what I found was, from all these documents and everything else, was that the ones that are equal or less than we are psychically and our enemies tend to not come here. The ones that are equal or less than we are and friends come here for trade. The ones who are greater than we are psychically want us to develop our abilities and try to enhance us by doing it. Many times you find that people who are abducted suddenly have psychic experiences. They've been cultivated for that. The ones who are enemies and more psychic than we are, they want us wiped off the planet. They want us dead. And I couldn't figure out why. And this one case had these 3 guys who were camping out at a lakeside, and they saw this UFO coming, and they stood there and watched it, and it came up over them and abducted them and just froze them in place. And it suddenly dawned on me, those ETs had more psychic ability than the humans, the 3 humans that were standing there on the lakeside. But they didn't have any range. They had to be right over them to do it. Now, in remote viewing, we can see across space and time like we can look across a room. Listen, we're going into space. And our friends want that ability. If we can see across time and space, our friends want us out there. Our enemies want us dead.
Oh man, y'all. Okay, so I really wanted y'all to hear that because I think it is fantastic. I'm super impressed with him speaking publicly on all this stuff, by the way, too. Ed, I saw my buddy Ed Peters is in the chat. Ed, yes, this is one of the men that movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats, is based off of, I do believe. He was part of those programs. And here, let me mute Barry. Okay, and so he's basically saying that us humans are psychic. Okay, we're quite psychic, and we have the power to be more psychic than a lot of these ETs and the reptilians. And but he also is talking about how he's divided them all into categories through his research, talking about the ETs and how psychic they are in accordance to like if they're friendly or if they're our enemies. Okay, and I think the point of what he's saying is like we as humans are a threat. Okay, we're either seen as a threat by the darker forces that are either equally as psychic as us or less psychic than us, and they don't want us to have that ability to be psychic. You know, the aliens, the grays, whatnot, the good ones actually, or any kind of extraterrestrial race, the good ones who are our friends, they want to actually come and help us be more psychic. Okay, they want to teach us how to enhance our abilities because that is how ultimately we will defeat the darker forces. Is basically becoming, dare I say, like an army of psychic humans, switched on psychic humans, people who are aware of their psychic abilities, people who use their psychic abilities, their telepathy, and all that. And like I said, I did make this statement before the show started today. I have gotten more criticism and basically attacked, if you want to call it that, more based off of my talking about being psychic and a remote viewer than I have ever of, talking about chasing monsters in the woods. Okay. Something that is purposely, and this is my opinion, purposely suppressed by the machine. Okay. By all the organized, dare I even say religions as well? I hate to say that, but whatever. I don't know. Barry, what do you think about this?
Sorry, man. Everything went down here. I apologize. So I didn't hear anything. I'm completely lost. So just keep talking about my
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
It's okay. Well, I was just saying that Lynn is making the statement that humans have the ability to be just as psychic, or if not more psychic, than a lot of the extraterrestrial forces out there. And that is a major threat to their existence, to them being able to come to this planet and take our planet over. Okay, so basically one of the solutions, I said, we got these issues potentially with like Draco Reptilians and all the negative forces. that are extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial, subterranean, whatever. And one of the ways to combat the negative forces is to tune in psychically, to hone in your psychic skills, and to be able to be more, because that's going to raise your consciousness level, right? It's going to raise the consciousness, the energy of our planet, okay, into another dimension. Let's just say like 4D, 5D, whatever, 9D. I don't know what the D's are, double D's. I don't know, but yeah, it's that's basically what he's saying. But also, I find it really interesting that he was able, through his research, through the remote viewing targets he's done, to see the different categories of the aliens and their psychic abilities that they have. And I think that could even include like Bigfoot as well. You know, some of these cryptids, the cryptids are very much psychic. Many of them do communicate. They do communicate through telepathy and mind speak. Talking about quantum, right? Quantum Bigfoot. How about that?
You know, I think that a lot of our deal about evolution is BS, and that humans once did have a place on what we could call the Galactic Council, and that perhaps we were too warlike, and that's why we wound up being put on places like Earth and other places. You know, and it was our warlike nature that got us dismissed from that council and put on these quote unquote lost worlds or prison planets. You know, it's really food for thought. And in that way, our psychic ability, and I said that, you know, we're made in the creator's image. And we know part of the creator is capable of creation, which means the creative principle flows through us. I think that has a lot to do with our imagination, a lot to do with our intent of will. And we start making that into natural psychic abilities, which we would be if this place was not so warlike. You and I talked about before, Jessica, why is telepathy not the main source of communication on this planet, when it can be scientifically proven that most people could probably do it if it was switched on, okay,
Yes.
through the endocrine system alone? You know why? Because then you wouldn't be able to hide like the way you can now. You got these mass unalivers, serial unalivers that walk around, and supposedly each one of us has come in contact with one of these people, at least one in our life, and they thought about, man, you're the person I'm fantasizing about unaliving. You know what I mean? But that would, if we were telepathy, that would come off just like that, and those people would be automatically revealed. You know? Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is an interesting comment, Hillbilly Herb. You know, considering that we just had a group of pastors who came out claiming that they had been called into a meeting by U.S. intelligence officials who are also claiming to be Christian, you know, religious background, and talking about how they need to get their congregations ready for disclosure on aliens and UFOs and stuff. Okay, so actually, speaking of that, I did, before we go today, of course, I had one more thing that I wanted to bring up, and you know, talking about these missing scientists and a lot of people who were part of some programs of propulsion, you know, experiments and stuff, I guess we could say, military background people have gone missing, some high ups in the ranks of some of this UFO technology. And there's this one gentleman right here, and let's see, the missing scientist. This right here is Major General McCasland. Okay, and I saw this on social media. Okay, and this is a picture of him. Apparently, he was a lead advisor for a UFO book, or his book. He wrote. I don't know if he wrote this book. It said the book opens by tying UFOs to the astral realm and shamanism. Okay, this is something that apparently he wrote. It said, this is stated in the first page of the book: the appearance of the saucer is a manifestation of someone in a parallel universe using ceremonial magic to enter our world, and he called them mystical machines. What? That's wild. Do you have an opinion on that, Barry?
The what? This is a cyclotron.
It looks like it. Well, he's saying that the appearance of some of these UFOs is actually from the astral. They come from the astral realm, he said, and they are summoned by from the astral realm by a shaman. And that's wild. You know what? This actually makes sense. I just had something that clicked. Okay, when I was about 15 years ago or so, 13 years ago, I was in Cashers, North Carolina, near Cashers. And it's actually not Cashers, but it was somewhere near there. And that's where they have the sky ships over Cashers. And those are some UFOs that hover over some of the mountains over there in North Carolina. And I was with Chief David Webb. We were camping out with Chief David, Cherokee, medicine man. And David asked us, he said, do you want me to call in the sky ships over Cashers? And he went into almost like ritualistically, psychically tuned in to those UFOs, and he waved his staff with the crystal on it up in the air. And am I frozen? Okay, I was frozen there.
I can hear you.
Okay,
I was.
thought I was. But he was shaking his staff in the air and did some chants, and he psychically tuned into them, and they showed up. 4 of them. For the whole weekend at night, he would go out there and he would call them in, and they would come and hover over us at night. So that showed me there is a mystical connection. There's some sort of a spiritual connection. And of course, some people claim, I don't know how popular this is, but I've heard that the Cherokee are connected to the Pleiadians. So maybe there's some kind of there's a connection there. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just connecting.
I don't know about the Cherokees, but I know that you've got the Raven tribe, that Aborigines that claim they're connected to the Pleiades, and a couple other the Pleiadian groups. Yeah, I think you had the Strong Brothers on, didn't you? They talk about that a lot. They talk about that a lot and show the relics that prove it, actually.
They do.
So going back to so this whole thing of summoning UFOs, the whole CE-I-5, all that. Now you and I know something. When it comes to that spirit network, those type 3 spears that are more ground soldiers they respond to psychokinetic activity. You can call them up. That guy Patrick Jackson has showed that. He's even got a little machine he uses to call them. Okay, so a little device with these clicks or something. So that's one thing we know that they're responding. Let alone that might actually be alive on the other side. And I'll correlate this with something else. A gentleman, James Trevor Constable. I used to follow all his work, like decades ago, all the way up to the time he died. He had specifically called. He was the one that kind of termed energy zoa, or these like microorganisms, large. They're the shape of the like microorganisms, but they're big in our atmosphere. He called them energy zoa and critters also. But he had another ones that he talked about on there, which were the Aetherians in his books, the Aetherians, and that they exist on the same level, but they have these what look like more ships, and how they were attracted to the cloud busters as well as the negative and the DOR, deadly orgone radiation inside that those machines collect. AKA, I guess you could call it a type of loose or whatever. But these Aetherians, when I started taking pictures in ultraviolet filter with infrared film in the Kodaks around my cloudbuster, I started seeing those Aetherian ships type 2. And you can also see them often around, if you take the same type of picture back then, you can see them around power lines too. These Aetherian, he called them the Aetherians, that they weren't maybe extraterrestrials, partial Earth, but they're in that dimension, that frequency. So.
Oh, wow. The Aetherians, because they're in the ethers? Is that why?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And the way ether is made of technically orgone energy, when you start getting down to bions and things like that.
Ooh, wow. How cool. Man, this is a really interesting discussion, and I hope that the discussion continues after the show, you guys. With you know, with the, I really appreciate you being here today, Barry, to talk to
Thanks for
me
having
about
me.
this. It is
Sorry for a couple of technical problems.
it's okay. It is absolutely important that we do talk about this stuff and we do connect these dots. And no matter how, you know, we see the darkness in society right now, like the dark cloud over society, basically with just some of the stuff that's just really bringing people's energy levels down, you know, and talking about not everybody being psychic and that being kind of shunned. I mean, it is shunned, y'all. I'm a psychic. Barry knows too. There's a lot of people that think that we were channeling demons and stuff, and I don't know. It's just crazy. But it is what it is. Okay. But there's a reason for people not wanting us, the controllers, to not wanting us to be psychic and to use our psychic skills, and for us to have things in the water systems like fluoride and stuff. Think about it, y'all. Think about it. Yeah.
And something you and I brought up before is that there's somebody right now trying to put a cloud over remote viewing.
Yes.
And those that aren't doing it, like have been trained like you are, okay, can be misled. And I think you've got your one buddy, big whatever. He he was talking about the sentinels of remote viewing, those that they're proudly looking for remote viewers, and they can stop them, whatever. You know, I don't think that's so far out. And I've seen that like certain places that are so popular in the media right now, you know, and I even like them because I like cat suits. But look, what makes you think those people aren't being influenced? Especially if they really don't know how to protect themselves. And a lot of them say, oh, I do. I've done my shadow work. Man, Jessica, you met some of those people in person. You know they're not protected. You know they're not very powerful. They're just not. Okay. And I don't mean to be a jerk, but you met them like I have. Okay. They're nothing that makes me want to write home to grandma, man, that cat is powerful. It's not like that at all. They're people you know that don't know how to protect themselves. They've got stuff all over them. Dead people, demons, all sort of, but they're remote viewing and everyone trusts it because they're affiliated with these people. That's, you know, and I'm seeing something else happen where some of these people getting attacked. And you know what's getting attacked? Their credentials. Because they basically have some certificates that's from a workshop. Those aren't degrees. You know what I mean? That's not doing years of what he did. Like
I don't have a degree in remote viewing either. So you know what I mean? I do it for fun. It's purely hobby. Okay. Purely for fun. That's all I do.
It's like I took a bunch of workshops and I've studied hypnosis for years, but I never went to one of those universities. So I don't show around the certificates I got. Hey, I'm a major trained. That's just not the same to me. Okay. It's not like going to a 4-year university or something similar to that. Okay. I'm just saying, just being honest. Okay. But right now we're in the era, this is unregulated fields. Anybody can say, hey, I'm a badass, and nobody really, nobody's going to really investigate or check or nothing.
Oh,
and that's what I like about you, because you don't come off like that. You never really spout off how much of the stuff you've really done. Those of us that follow you know, but I mean, but you don't push your own ticket like that, and you never get the recognition. I see some of these people popping up out of nowhere.
I know, there's a lot of people popping. Well, here's my take on all this, right? I'm just super happy that there are people that are honing in with their psychic skills. Now, whether it be, I consider those people remote viewers or not, that's neither here nor there. Okay. But at least, you know, I'm encouraging everyone to please start tuning into your psychic abilities. Okay. And that is where humanity is headed, for a more positive humanity on a higher timeline. It's imperative that we all start paying attention to our psychic abilities. Okay. And whether we start doing some workshops, I don't care who calls themselves a remote viewer. It doesn't matter to me. I'm no professional. Okay. I do this for fun. All right. But I've also been trained extensively in it. Okay. I have a lot more than a lot of people.
You can't just Gemini out like that on me. Come on now. Yeah.
Well, it's all about people becoming aware of their psychic abilities and decalcifying the pineal gland and things like that, and realizing that there is a war on our psychic abilities. There's a war on humanity. Okay. Now, whether that be Draco Reptilians, whether that be, I don't know who it is, the shape-shifting people in charge, it is what it is. Shout out to my shape-shifting friends. I know y'all are in the chat. I see you.
It's about doing your own,
I'm not talking about y'all.
discovery and your own exploration through self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Not reading it and then start actually doing the exercise, doing the things. That's self-empowerment. That's really where we're at right now in this change of stuff. When you take everything, the sensationalism and everything out of it, we're beings of perception, conscious, and awareness, and exercising that natural gift is one, and it's one that will take us into a type 1 civilization.
Yes, and thank you, Takayasha. You literally won't be able to survive the frequency convergence if you don't start developing yourself. You'll be lost in the chaos sauce. Man, I love that. That is a perfect statement. That's a wonderful way to end the show today. Don't get left behind. Okay, don't get left behind. We're here to raise the awareness right now. Barry and I are here to raise the awareness. Everybody in the chat, everybody who's participated in the show today, thank you all so much for being here. We're here to bring attention to it and to work towards a more positive, higher timeline, y'all. It's for the benefit of you and your families and all of humanity. And I hope that everybody enjoyed the show today, Barry. I hope you enjoyed being here as much as I enjoyed having you here, Barry.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I needed a positive distraction, so thank you.
Wonderful. Well, Barry, where can everybody find you? Would you like to tell the audience where they can get your services and stuff?
I'm on YouTube, Barry Littleton. I'm on Facebook, on Instagram. I can be reached for sessions at barrylittleton13@gmail.com. I've got my email kind of straightened out. I actually am able to get back to people now pretty quick. So I've been blessed. A lot of new clients have been coming from our shows we do. And some people tell me, I've been following you for a long time. And it blows me away. I'm kind of unaccustomed to it, or at least seeing it anyway. So thank you. And again, Barry Littleton, you can reach me there I do readings. I do a number of different stuff in hypnosis, spirit release, rescue, past life regression, ET regression, trauma release, weight loss, stop smoking, all that type of stuff.
Oh, man. That's amazing, Barry. And he's got wonderful reviews, y'all. Everybody that's ever mentioned it has said that it's wonderful. So thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Yes, Barry's doing his service to humanity, y'all. Book a session with him, okay? And go subscribe to Barry Littleton on YouTube and Patreon. And Barry, also, you do lives on Sundays, usually around 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central.
Yeah, I've still been able to keep that up. I can't believe you got me doing them, but I'm on like number 41 or 42. Thanks for helping. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Hey, Bruce, thank you for being here. Bruce is coming on the show, y'all. We're going to have him on in the next couple of Saturdays, hopefully, to come on. He's got some really good dogman encounters and stuff. So thank you for being here, Bruce. And thank you to everybody who's been in the chat today. Y'all are so sweet. Oh, my gosh. Did I miss some things over here? I am so sorry. Pops. Gary Spike Sr., thank you for gifting 5 Cryptid Huntress memberships. I apologize for missing that earlier. And that is so sweet of you. I'm going to do a video for the Hunt Club today, y'all. Check in later tonight or first thing in the morning. I'll have it packaged up for y'all for the Hunt Club. So thank you so much for that. And also, Engineer, thank you for that super sticker. You were so sweet. I appreciate you. And let's see. Oh, and Mariel. Thank you, Angel. That is so sweet. She says, hi, I hope you both are having an awesome day. Thank you. I hope you're having an awesome day too. Thank you so much.
Name. That's a cool name.
I got to meet Angel she's been to 2 of my last events and traveled a long way too. So thank you so much for being here today. And wonderful show today, y'all. I know I always learn stuff from these shows, and I learn from the audience. I learn from Barry, all my co-hosts. And I want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for all your support. And let's keep the vibrations high, as Jane always says. And come back and see me tomorrow night. We'll have a wonderful remote viewing show. I don't know. Barry's giving me some targets. Maybe we'll cover those, or I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We'll see.
Hey, should I give you some new new numbers on that?
Yes. Think? The data was weird, so we may need to go back.
Okay, I will.
But it's my fault. So, anyways, y'all have a wonderful day. Come back and see me 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, 7 Central. And keep your head on a swivel, y'all. Don't live in fear. And I'm sending all my love and light to all of y'all out there. Have a great day, y'all. See you, Barry.